How you doing, YouTube? FNG Machining here. Gene Schaefer. We're going to be now putting together the gearbox or the head. We'll be working on the spindle in this segment. I have drawn up a diagram here. I'll try to get this close so you can see. We have our spindle gear, our shaft I mean, and then I have all the parts numbered and I have them labeled so that I will put them together correctly and not have to take the whole thing apart. There is some issues that I'm removing here, and I'll show you in a minute. I'm putting tapered bearings instead of ball bearings, and we'll show you the issues that we have with that. Let me readjust the camera and we'll get to work. Hope you can all see that. I'm still working a little bit on getting stuff done. Okay, these are the original bearings that were in the machine. Very good shape, but since I was buying all new parts, I thought I would replace them with tapered bearing, roller bearings, just like on the front wheels of your car. And it's supposed to help the machine be more accurate. So I got two of those. The other upgrade that originally had broken was the gears, so I have replaced them with good heavy-duty metal ones. As you can see here, I got all my parts laid out. I double-checked everything. I made sure. I took some emery cloth and I cleaned inside each one of the bearing races where they're going to seat to make sure everything was smooth, just a real light smoothing in there, and then maybe down in here, just to try to get all the gunk out of there. I cleaned the shaft up in a pretty good shape. Now I noticed that on these bearings here, they're sealed. There's no way dirt is supposed to be able to get up into them. Now if you can see these, I didn't really clean these up any, but they're all in very good shape, and the grease is in them. There's no grease leaking out of them. There's no play, so I have some good replacement ones. Now replacing them, as you can see, these are wide open, and I will repack them here in a minute on both sides. But I was worried that having the bearings on the shaft here, riding on the shaft next to where you're machining all these parts, even though this is on this little cover, but as you can see, it's pretty loose, and rightly so, so it doesn't run out on there, and it can't be too close or it would just melt and cause problems. So anytime you use an air hose or you get small fine dust, it's going to come past here and go right into the bearing. So what I did was I had some steel shim stock, say that fast, 4/1000 gauge, and I cut off a piece, I traced it out, and I made a bearing cover that would fit on there loosely on the inside there, and it won't cover it completely. As you can see, there's still a little space in there, but it'll allow most of the dust to not get in there. And as you can see here, it fits down inside there, if I can. So it fits down inside there real nice, not tight, but not too loose. So it should be okay, and it's small enough. I don't think it'll hurt any or have any issues with spacing problems. So with that being said, it was kind of easy to do all that. I didn't want to do it. It took me a little while to do all that in the with the drill press and some scissors and sanding drum and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'll get these ready, and we'll repack these bearings and we'll install them all We'll install one set on the shaft, and then we'll get ready to try to put it all together. We're going to use a hydraulic press, even though I could tap it on with a hammer. We'll just use a hydraulic press because that's why we got it. Real simple. Shouldn't take too much. Each bearing in very good shape. We got these from, of course, Little Machine Shop. They have all the correct replacement numbers for all this stuff. Okay. Since this is pretty nasty, we'll put some gloves on. It always helps. You don't leave grease everywhere. Alright, here we go. As you can tell, that's why I have it in a plastic bag inside my toolbox. I made that mistake. Get everything done. Now this is the red high temp wheel bearing grease. So I'm thinking that it should be okay to use here. I just won't put as much on there like I would if I was doing a car. So just squeeze this down. It squeezes up into the bearings. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's already squeezing out through the bearings, which is good enough. Put a little bit on the outside. Before I forgot to put my extra paper towel down. Put it right on top of it. Got our bearing. Put a little bit on there. So I think that should be enough. It'll stay in there for more than adequate for And for the gears, I have some CV grease that should work pretty good for the inside gears. All these good tools for working on cars. Now you don't hardly have to do wheel bearings anymore. Newer cars are sealed and you just replace them. Nuts and everything. So okay, some of that down the side. Good gloves I have. The nitro exam gloves are pretty good. If you know anybody that is an EMT, you can have them pick you up some of these. They're pretty good. Put the cover on. And we're all done with this greasy mess. Alright. See, this stuff gets everywhere. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is we need to put our bearing onto the shaft here. And we have our cover. I'm going to put my little homemade bearing protector there. And the bearing with the taper goes toward the end there. Now stop thinking that. Okay, let's move over to the hydraulic press and we'll press this on. Okay, takes me a while to get the camera going. So we've got it on, we've got our little shield. This will be real close. It shouldn't rub, but we're doing good. Got our bearing on the right way. Now we just have to put our race in front of the unit. So this will be the part that we need to put the race in. I have a little flat bar that will get it started a little bit if it'll. Oh, it won't even do that. Okay, so we'll borrow this bearing. Let's be careful we don't seat this other bearing in there. Alright, now we'll use a double check, being real careful not to skin the surface of the bearing face. Alright, looks pretty good. So that'll fit in there like that. I think we'll be doing good. Okay. Now, then we can slide everything in from the, except for the gears, of course. We'll have to put the pin in. This is where you need 3 hands. The key in. And we'll put that key straight up and down. Okay, now what goes on first? We'll look over here in our schedule, and it's going to be the 17.5 millimeter which I had already marked a couple of these so I knew what they were. Then we have the interrupter wheel. Which we'll have to put up to the inside here. And then we'll need, it's kind of going to have to go into the top here. Alright, let me see if we can get you to get a close-up of that. Alright, done the camera the best I can. My hand will have to be in the way on some of this stuff. So, okay, we've got the interrupter wheel on, and then the other spacer is a 4mm spacer. That's a 7.5. Here's our 4mm. I can go into the back there. Well, they don't give you a lot of room to go in there, do they? Alright, so I'm going to have to probably pull all that off again. And now the gear goes in. And I believe the big gear goes in the back. I'm hoping. Let me stop and double check. Okay. The little gear goes toward the front. Let's try to you can see how easy this is. That spacer is giving me some problems. There we go. It's caught on the just have to get this thing started exactly right. Okay, almost to the key. Just turn it a little bit. Alright. Goes into that. You can look on the back for the key here. I think that it should be oof. Ah, there we go. Okay. And now .5mm. Where did that go? Okay, this one. Alright, so I can see where we're a ½ inch or so short on that gear. So going in this way, that gear is kind of centered, if you can see in there a little bit better. It's probably pretty centered in there. Let me move this. There's our interrupter wheel. Alright, let's get our Oh, I'll get the camera in front of the door here. Okay, so it is off to one side. So it looks like moving it in and out, it's going to work okay. So that's good. But I'm worried that we have a space in here that needs to be bigger, or this gear is going to move back and forth. Alright, let's put all the weight on that bearing. We're going to go from the lower back bearing race down to the gear. Got 23.63, which should be there, and they only said it needs to be a 7. So something isn't correct here. I suppose I can put that 23 one in there, and then we'll have to worry about the outside shaft here again. So this is kind of back to the drawing board. Let me see if I can get that off. There's a little screwdriver. Okay. See, that looks like it's pretty good spacing there. And then once we put the bearing race in there, it'll be okay. Alright, so it rides on there like silk. Very good. I'm just thinking that is what's going to have to happen to make that gear ride in the middle there. You guys can see that in there. Got the interrupter wheel and then the new metal gear. And then we'll put that, may have to order another bearing seat for the outside here. Now, I looked on a lot of videos and no one really has done this unit before to put the tapered bearings in. So the 10 by 12s are a lot different on the inside of the gear spacing and stuff. So I'm thinking that's what we're going to do. And on this one, we're going to have to get another piece of pipe and put on there to press that down in there good. Alright, let's head back over to the hydraulic press and seat that bearing in. So, well, we got everything here. Let's put our plate on here. And I believe that those screws will just line right up. We'll get some wheel bearing grease. And a 4mm. Alright, well, that's not working too good. With that little metal shield in there. I'm thinking that we should have made the diameter a little bit bigger. See if I can bend that a little bit. Maybe somebody already tried it and I didn't see that it didn't work, so we'll see what happens. We'll just leave it loose for now so we can turn free. Okay, showing you the inside spindle gears. Trying to hold this by hand. Alright, the issue I had was this gear, or this spacer right here, which they said would be 7mm, but it would be way short of what it needs to be spaced. So hopefully this gear is spaced correctly. We'll know once we get the intermediate shaft gear in here and line up to make sure we don't have to change any of these other spacers out from what they did. Got the interrupter wheel I don't know if you can see that, but it's riding in between the two magnets, so it should work okay, I would think. And then we'll go from there. As you can see here, right in through here, this is the spacer that we need to get again. So we measured it, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. Either order another one and cut it down, or try to find something later. So looks like the spindle gear is pretty much done. I recentered everything, and where before it was scraping, the adapter I put in there, now it's not, and it's turning really good. I think once it gets broke in, it'll work correctly. Okay, next video we'll work on the intermediate shaft. Okay, FNG Machinist signing off.